What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Ivan Temilkov. I'm your host, and this is where we get 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. If you're looking for your typical conventional podcast, you're in the wrong fucking place. Ladies and gentlemen, it's after Christmas. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. I spent it with my family. And even though I hope to get some work done, it was everything that it was meant to be. You see, I wanted to be a very heavy optimist and try to get work done in this almost week-long holiday break that I took to spend time with family, primarily with my wife's family, but that just didn't pan out that way. Before we dive in deeper into the show, I want to let you know that we are now streaming on YouTube as well. You can watch every episode of the RAS Project on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ivan Temilkov. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so you can be notified of every new episode. You know, that little bell on there, tick that a couple of times, and every time a new episode is uploaded, you'll be notified. It's also available on Facebook Watch. You can just search for the RAS Project on Facebook Watch and you'll be able to find it. There's going to be new gear available on my store on my website, ivantemilkov.com, for the RAS Project here very, very soon. And there's going to be a lot of limited editions. So make sure that you keep checking the podcast frequently. I'll be making some announcements over the next couple of weeks as we finalize some designs on some t-shirts, on some hoodies, on some hats, some flip bags, some workout gear also that you're going to be able to get your hands on with the RAS Project and the One Life brand as well. So pretty excited about that. Did I just say pretty twice? That was kind of fucked up. But anyway, very excited about this gear. They'll be launching on my website, ivantemilkov.com. With that being said, I want to dive into the meat and potatoes of this episode here, and that is, too many of you want short-term wins because you think that it's going to give you that ultimate gratification, when in fact, it's the long-term prosperity that you need to be striving for. Let me give you several examples here of what I'm talking about. You see, too many of you are starting businesses and you want to succeed overnight. But what you don't quite understand is, if you hear the story of any reputable, successful person, any entrepreneur, any business, wealthy individual, they will tell you that they have invested a huge chunk of their life to become the person that they are today. So let that settle in a little bit in your head. We're talking about 10, 20, 30, even 40 years of your life that you have to dedicate and sacrifice in order to even have a glimpse at long-term prosperity. And a lot of you out there are literally just pushing for that short-term win because you think that if you win in the short term, you make some money, that you're going to be satisfied. You're going to be happy. All your problems are going to go away. And let me tell you this, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And the internet is feeding you all this crap about short-term wins and overnight programs and this and that that's going to make you wealthy, more successful. It doesn't work. There's no fucking shortcuts. You just got to put in the time. So stop looking for the short-term wins. Invest in the long-term prosperity. Here's another example. The RAS Project, which this is like the 5th year now that I've been running this podcast, and it has changed its names multiple times. It is finally coming to fruition. It is finally gaining momentum, and it's all thanks to you, because a lot of you that are listening to this podcast are starting to realize the massive amount of value that's being shared. Value that I'm sharing with you that is a result of 25 years of business and marketing experience. But you see, in fact, it wasn't until the last 2 years alone when this podcast really started to truly gain traction. And that's just it. It's the long game. I knew that when I started this podcast that some time was going to pass before it actually gained some momentum. And a lot of you that are trying podcasts, they're starting a podcast, you think, oh, this is going to happen overnight. I'm going to have a few hundred, a few thousand listeners or followers. I'm going to be an overnight success. And it just does not happen that way. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the work. Here's another example. I'm a cyclist. I've been cycling for 4 years. When I started out, I couldn't go more than a couple of miles without like panting like a fucking little kid because I couldn't catch my breath. But after 4 years of cycling, now I can do 50-mile stretches. And honestly, I never thought that would even be possible, that I would even be capable physically, let alone mentally, to go such great lengths. And the last example I'll give you here is that I'm also a golfer. I've been golfing for about 4 years now. And I will tell you this, I'm a half-assed decent golfer. And any golfer that I have talked to has told me that, you know what, 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years before you actually get the hang of it. And that's just it. You see all those examples I just shared with you, whether it's in life, whether it's in business, you need to understand that the short-term wins are not going to give you that ultimate gratification that you're looking for. And you need to stop listening to people who are telling you how you can make a quick buck or how you can turn your life around quickly, because there's no such thing as quickly. There's no such thing as short-term success. It does not exist. That is the key message that I want to share with you in this particular episode, is to understand that you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, and that's how you make it happen with consistency, with commitment, with risk, with sacrifice, and a bunch of other things. Look, guys and gals, I have one favor to ask from you. If you feel that I've given you value on this podcast, some perspective, helped you make a change in your personal life or business, I would greatly appreciate it if you share this podcast with someone else. I'm not selling you anything or forcing you to buy shit you don't want. I'm simply asking you to share this podcast with other entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to make a change in their life and business. If you enjoyed the podcast and you keep coming back, it would also mean the world to me if you share a review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. It will help others, other like-minded folks, know about the nature of content and value that I share on this podcast and give them a reason to listen. And last but not least, I'm always interested in looking for sponsors on the podcast. If you're interested in sponsoring this podcast, please email me at ivan@razorsharpdigital.com, or you can also message me on Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And that's going to do it for this episode. And always remember, be everything else but average. Take care. Bye-bye.